M0FXB, welcome to the Mazzy Dog Walks. She's here somewhere. I had a quick question. Someone asked me, what amp power supply do I use? So I always buy 30 amp ones, and you'll find if you go to your local ham radio seller, they'll always have one they recommend for around £80. And I've got several, you know, because I've got a lot of radios that I like to have on at the same time. And I've built them up over, 30 years. So there's that. The other one is, what coax cable do I use? Well, if I'm using on the HF bands, I just use your normal RG58. I did try with VHF and UHF the thicker stuff, but I just found it a pain in the neck to use. So I just stick with the usual RG58. I don't buy the cheap ones, of course. I try and buy the ones that are good quality. And I tend to buy patch leads rather than the PL259 connectors. I do solder some plugs, but I tend to buy patch leads, and then I'll solder a couple of plugs, but I wouldn't say I'm good at it. And my antennas are nearly always 49:1 Ballon with 66-foot length of wire. I have got a G5RV that I sort of almost chucked out the window and stretched it across a fence. It works, but you know, really mine only work for Europe. US, I do get USA, Europe across to Russia, up to Norway, but really that's it. If I want to do, like, unless I'm using something like CW, which I'm not very good at, because I know I can get Australia because someone's CW basically sent me a CW message and could hear me, and I couldn't really hear them, but they could hear me. I'm not really sure how it worked. So it's doable, but really my antenna setup's a very poor antenna setup. I do always run a couple of ground rods just outside the window into the ground and connect to the ground connectors of my ATU, sometimes the radio. But it's not a fancy setup, but I do fine. I've several contacts, and when I tend to sit around 40 meters, and when it comes to life, it really comes to life. 80 meters, you do have to work a bit harder with your antenna setup. The G5RV full size works better. It's longer basically. If I double the length of the 66 foot, if I double that on the 49:1 Ballon, it does okay. But I don't even really use 20 meters much. There's a lot of bands that you can use that come to life at certain times, and I'm quite lazy with it. I'm pretty much always on 40 meters. But yeah, VHF, UHF, I've got a white stick collinear in the loft. I've got 2 or 3 of them that I've built up, and I shove them in between the rafters. And I don't want to climb up ladders anymore. There was a time I used to climb on roofs and walk along the tiles and that. So, but no, I don't want to take the chance anymore. A bit more sensible. So the main thing is, if I've got lots of activity on VHF, UHF, plus my hotspots, which generate, massive activity, plus a bit of local HF bands, I'm quite happy with what I've got. It keeps me very busy. So that's the answer to those questions. Thanks for watching my channel. Bye for now.